In 1618, a farmer named Henry Wicker discovered a spring on Epsom Common in England. His cattle were desperately thirsty. It had been a dry stretch, but they refused to drink from it. They walked up to it, smelled it, and walked away. Wicker tasted the water himself. It was bitter, strange. But over the following days, he noticed something. The spring water seemed to heal skin wounds and soothe muscle injuries in any animal that had contact with it. Word spread. Local physicians began experimenting. Within a generation, Epsom had become the most famous spa destination in England. What those physicians documented, over and over, across generations of recorded accounts, was profound muscle relaxation, a quieting of the nervous mind, and what they described as the deepest and most restorative sleep. By the late 1600s, royalty and aristocracy were traveling from across Europe to take the waters. Botanist Nehemiah Grew analyzed the compound in 1698. The active substance? Magnesium sulfate, what we now call Epsom salt. They were right, every bit of it. They had stumbled onto the mineral that literally opens the molecular gate to stage N3 deep sleep, the most restorative phase of the human sleep cycle. They didn't have the vocabulary for NMDA receptors, or GABA-A agonism, or glymphatic clearance. They had 400 years of observation, and they were more right than they knew. In the 1990s and 2000s, Dr. Burton Altura and his wife Dr. Bella Altura at SUNY Downstate Medical Center in Brooklyn published hundreds of papers documenting the same mineral as a root cause of modern chronic disease. Cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, neurodegenerative conditions, sleep disorders. Dr. Burton Altura put it directly in his 2001 review in Magnesium Research. The progressive depletion of magnesium from the Western food supply is an invisible epidemic. It explains a large portion of modern disease patterns that medicine keeps treating symptom by symptom. They were not silenced dramatically. They were simply ignored by a medical system that profits from treating symptoms rather than correcting mineral deficiencies. The papers are there. The data is there. The mechanism has been understood at the molecular level for 30 years. Medicine just doesn't have a prescription revenue model for a mineral. The sleeping pill industry stepped into the gap. $28 billion a year for a deficiency that costs 10 cents a day to correct. This is the Lost Dispensary. We find what was buried. Today, the 5 mechanisms that explain why this mineral is the master key to genuine deep sleep. The MIT discovery in 2010 that changed everything about which form actually reaches your brain. And a complete protocol you can start tonight, including how to grow the most magnesium-dense food on the planet in your own backyard. If you want more recovered knowledge like this, hit subscribe. It's free. It keeps this channel alive. After World War II, the Green Revolution transformed global agriculture around a single metric: yield. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, NPK fertilization, became the universal standard because those 3 elements grow bigger crops. Magnesium was left out of the equation. Not because it was proven unnecessary, because it doesn't show up in a yield number. It only shows up in the human body, 70 years later, when the sleep system that depends on it starts to fail. USDA longitudinal food composition data, tracking the same crops from the 1950s to 2010, shows it plainly. Spinach today contains measurably less magnesium than spinach grown in 1950. Carrots, down. Wheat, down. A meta-analysis published in Plant and Soil found that crops from magnesium-depleted soil showed up to 40% lower magnesium content than those from organically amended, mineral-rich soil. 2/3 of people in developed countries are not meeting the minimum daily magnesium requirement. Here is the number that stops most people cold. In Paleolithic conditions, human beings consumed approximately 600 milligrams of magnesium daily, from food, from spring water, from mineral-rich sea plants. The modern recommended daily allowance is 320 to 420 milligrams. The average American adult currently gets between 143 and 266 milligrams per day, less than half of what the human brain and nervous system were designed to run on. Industrial agriculture engineered us there in one generation. Then, in 2010, researchers at MIT changed the conversation in a way that couldn't be ignored. The Picower Institute for Learning and Memory at MIT tested every major magnesium compound available, oxide, chloride, gluconate, and measured what actually reached cerebrospinal fluid and brain tissue after oral supplementation. Standard magnesium supplements produced no significant increase in brain magnesium levels. Zero. Not insufficient. None. The blood-brain barrier was effectively blocking them. Then they tested a novel compound, magnesium L-threonate. It was the only form that significantly elevated magnesium in brain tissue. It increased synaptic density in the hippocampus by 52%. The paper was published in Neuron, one of the highest-tier neuroscience journals in existence. 95% of the magnesium supplements on the market never cross into the brain, the organ that controls your sleep, the organ that needs it most. In 2024, Jacksonville University published the Human Clinical Proof. 80 adults aged 35 to 55, all reporting sleep problems, 21 days. One group receiving magnesium L-threonate, the other placebo. Sleep measured objectively. Oura Ring wearable data tracking actual sleep architecture. Results statistically significant across every parameter. Deep sleep score improved. REM score improved. Sleep-wake balance improved. Not self-reported questionnaires. Objective brain stage improvements measured by a device. This was the first human trial to simultaneously demonstrate stage N3 deep sleep improvement and REM improvement from any magnesium supplementation. Mineral spring medicine was not superstition. It was precision neurochemistry before we had the vocabulary to describe it. Magnesium doesn't help you sleep. It restores the system that was always supposed to run sleep in the first place. Now let's talk about the 5 mechanisms. Each one is specific, documented, and clinically meaningful. The first is what I call the NMDA silencer, and it is the most fundamental reason you cannot turn your brain off at night. Your brain's primary excitatory system operates through receptors called NMDA receptors. When they're firing, you're conscious and awake. For sleep to occur, NMDA activity has to be suppressed, allowing the thalamus to begin generating the synchronized electrical rhythms that produce sleep spindles, and then the deep, slow-wave sleep of stage N3. Magnesium ions, positively charged Mg2+ particles, are natural, voltage-dependent blockers of NMDA receptor channels. They physically sit inside the channel and block the flow of calcium when your brain is at rest. When brain magnesium levels are adequate, NMDA receptors are effectively regulated. The brain shifts smoothly from wakefulness into sleep. When magnesium is deficient, those channels remain partially open at rest. The brain stays in a low-grade excitatory state. It keeps generating thought, alertness, and vigilance signals when it's supposed to be going quiet. 70 million Americans report lying awake, unable to turn their mind off. That is not anxiety as a primary diagnosis. In a very large percentage of cases, that is an NMDA receptor that magnesium is supposed to be blocking, and can't because there isn't enough of it. The 2012 Abbasi clinical trial at Tehran University, 80 patients over 8 weeks, showed statistically significant reduction in insomnia severity scores. Sleep onset latency improved significantly. Melatonin up, cortisol down. The hormonal fingerprint of genuine sleep architecture restoration. The second mechanism is the GABA gateway, and this is where the comparison to sleeping pills becomes genuinely uncomfortable for the pharmaceutical industry. GABA is the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, the brake on neural activity. The sleeping pill industry has built its entire product line on this system. Benzodiazepines, Z-drugs like Ambien and Lunesta, and alcohol all work by flooding GABA receptors artificially, at levels far above what the brain was designed to sustain. The result is sedation, unconsciousness. It looks like sleep from the outside. It is not sleep. These drugs measurably suppress stage N3 deep sleep and REM sleep. Patients who sleep 8 hours on Ambien wake feeling unrestored because the restoration never occurred. Magnesium works on the same GABA system, but as a co-agonist. It enhances the brain's natural GABA signaling at the physiological level the brain was built to operate at. The thalamic GABA system generates sleep spindles, the electrical signature of stage N2, and then transitions to the high-amplitude delta waves of stage N3. Adequate magnesium allows this cascade to proceed naturally and completely. Deficiency interrupts it. In 1998, researchers at the Max Planck Institute of Psychiatry in Munich conducted a randomized, placebo-controlled study using polysomnography, full brainwave recording, in 12 elderly subjects. Magnesium supplementation significantly increased sleep spindle power during NREM sleep. Spindle power is the specific gateway mechanism to N3 deep sleep. The hormonal profile matched: lower nocturnal cortisol, higher renin, higher aldosterone, the triple hormonal signature that appears in every study of genuine deep sleep restoration. They changed the brain's electrical activity at night. That's mechanism 2. The third mechanism is the melatonin manufacturing line, and it explains why millions of people are throwing money at the wrong solution. Your body makes melatonin from serotonin, which it makes from tryptophan. The enzyme that converts serotonin to melatonin, AANAT, requires magnesium as a cofactor. Without adequate magnesium, the melatonin synthesis pathway is impaired at the enzymatic level. The raw materials are there. The factory is offline. A significant portion of the people taking melatonin supplements every night are addressing the downstream symptom, low melatonin, without addressing the upstream cause, insufficient magnesium to synthesize it. The 2012 Abbasi RCT proved this directly. Magnesium supplementation raised serum melatonin levels significantly without a single melatonin capsule. 8 weeks, melatonin up, because the production line was restored. The fourth mechanism is cortisol suppression, and this overlaps with every other sleep intervention you might have tried. Cortisol follows a normal circadian curve, high in the morning, lowest around midnight to 2 in the morning. In magnesium-deficient individuals, this curve is disrupted. Nighttime cortisol stays elevated. The brain remains in a low-grade stress state. Deep recovery sleep keeps getting interrupted by the stress signaling system that was supposed to go quiet hours ago. Magnesium regulates cortisol production through 2 pathways simultaneously. It suppresses CRH, the upstream trigger in the cortisol production cascade, and it directly modulates glucocorticoid receptor sensitivity. The 2012 Abbasi RCT found statistically significant reduction in nocturnal serum cortisol at p equals 0.008. The Max Planck study showed the same hormonal fingerprint. This is the same pharmacological target that pharmaceutical anxiolytics aim for, at 10 cents a day, with no dependency risk. The fifth mechanism reframes poor sleep from an inconvenience into a long-term neurological emergency. I call it the glymphatic cleaning window. During stage N3 slow-wave sleep, a system called the glymphatic network activates, the brain's overnight sanitation department. Brain cells physically contract by up to 60% in volume during deep sleep, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to rush through the spaces between them and flush out toxic metabolic waste products. The most critical waste product in that nighttime flush is amyloid beta, the protein fragment that accumulates in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Research at the NIH using PET imaging showed that a single night of disrupted deep sleep increases measurable amyloid beta levels in the brain the following day. Not after years of poor sleep, one night. Magnesium deficiency reduces stage N3 time. Reduced stage N3 time impairs glymphatic clearance. Impaired glymphatic clearance means progressive amyloid accumulation over years and decades. The 2024 Jacksonville University trial, by demonstrating objective stage N3 improvement from magnesium L-threonate, is directly relevant to this risk reduction. For decades, medicine has called sleep decline after 40 a normal consequence of aging. The data says otherwise. Studies in populations with high dietary magnesium intake, traditional farming communities, populations consuming mineral-rich water, show a far more gradual decline. What medicine calls normal aging of sleep architecture may largely be magnesium deficiency aging, compounded by processed food and 70 years of industrial farming. Enough mechanism. Here's exactly what you do. The single most important thing to understand before you buy anything is that the form of magnesium determines where it goes in your body. Different magnesium compounds reach different tissues. Most supplements sold in drugstores contain magnesium oxide or magnesium carbonate, approximately 4% bioavailability. They pass through your gut largely unabsorbed. Taking magnesium oxide for sleep is roughly equivalent to writing "sleep deeply" on a piece of paper and eating it. The word is there, the mechanism is not. Here is the form map that matters. Magnesium glycinate is the workhorse. It binds magnesium to the amino acid glycine, dramatically improving gut absorption. 80% bioavailability documented. It's the best tolerated form, reaches muscles and nervous tissue effectively, and is the most cost-effective quality option. For most people, this is the right starting point and long-term backbone. Magnesium L-threonate is the brain-specific form, the MIT 2010 discovery, the only compound that crossed the blood-brain barrier and raised magnesium levels in cerebrospinal fluid in that landmark study. The form used in the 2024 Jacksonville RCT that demonstrated objective deep sleep and REM improvements. Sold under the brand name Magtein. It costs more than glycinate. It is the form you add specifically to target sleep architecture, stage N3 and REM. If budget is the constraint, glycinate alone still produces significant sleep benefits. If sleep architecture optimization is the goal, the two-form protocol is what the evidence supports. Step 1. The afternoon dose. Between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, take 200 milligrams of elemental magnesium glycinate with food. Look for products specifying elemental magnesium content, not total capsule weight. Reliable quality brands. Doctor's Best, Pure Encapsulations, Thorn. Step 2. The Epsom bath. The protocol that Roman legionaries used to recover from battle, and European aristocracy traveled across the continent to access. Fill the tub with warm water, approximately 100 to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Add 2 cups, 500 grams, of food-grade Epsom salt. Soak for 20 minutes minimum. Magnesium absorbs transdermally through the skin. The warm water serves a second function. It raises core body temperature. When you step out, your core temperature drops, one of the brain's primary signals to initiate sleep onset. You're triggering 2 mechanisms simultaneously with one bath. This is why every account from Epsom, from Roman bathhouses, from Egyptian mineral springs, describes unusually deep sleep following immersion. They were performing precision neurochemistry without knowing it. Step 3. The bedtime dose. 30 to 60 minutes before sleep, take 200 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium glycinate. If using the two-form protocol, add magnesium L-threonate at the standard Magtein dose. 2 grams of the compound, delivering 144 milligrams of elemental magnesium. Important: do not take magnesium alongside calcium at bedtime. Calcium and magnesium use the same intestinal transport system and compete for absorption. Take calcium in the morning, magnesium in the evening. Total daily target from supplementation and dietary sources combined, 400 to 600 milligrams of elemental magnesium. That's the restoration range, bringing intake back toward the 600 milligrams human sleep biology evolved with. Now, the permanent solution. Because supplements correct a deficiency that industrial agriculture created. Growing your own food in remineralized soil is how you stop needing them. The most powerful long-term intervention is soil remineralization with agricultural dolomitic lime, calcium magnesium carbonate. Available at any garden supply store for approximately $15 per 40-pound bag. Application rate: 2 to 5 pounds per 100 square feet of garden bed. This is not exotic. It was standard soil amendment before industrial NPK-only fertilization replaced it. Crops grown in properly remineralized soil can contain 30 to 40% more magnesium than commercially grown equivalents. Annual additions of compost and aged manure maintain the organic matter that holds mineral content in the soil. Avoid over-application of potassium fertilizers. Potassium and magnesium compete for plant uptake through the same ionic channel, exactly as calcium and magnesium compete in your gut. For faster results, while soil is being remineralized, use a foliar spray. Dissolve 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt in 1 quart of water. Spray directly on plant leaves every 2 to 3 weeks. Magnesium absorbs through leaf pores within 24 hours, bypassing soil chemistry entirely. The crops to prioritize for magnesium density: pumpkins and squash. 1 ounce of roasted pumpkin seeds contains 150 milligrams of magnesium, more than most supplements in a daily dose. Dark leafy greens, spinach, chard, kale, because magnesium is a structural component of chlorophyll itself. Every molecule of chlorophyll has a magnesium atom at its center. Darker green means more chlorophyll, means more magnesium. Beans and legumes. Easy to grow in any climate, consistently high magnesium density. Near coastlines, sea vegetables, kelp, nori, dulse, are naturally mineral-rich without any soil dependency. 3 common mistakes that collapse most protocols. First, buying the wrong form. If the label says magnesium oxide or just magnesium with no form specified, it is almost certainly oxide, 4% bioavailability. Check the label. Glycinate, L-threonate, malate, taurate are the forms worth buying. Oxide is not. Second, wrong timing. Magnesium's sleep-promoting effects are real, which means taking your full dose in the morning reduces daytime alertness. Shift it. Smaller afternoon dose, larger dose 30 to 60 minutes before sleep. Third, expecting overnight transformation. Magnesium restoration is a tissue repletion process. Most people notice sleep onset improvement, the "can't turn my mind off" sensation diminishing, within 1 to 2 weeks. That's the NMDA silencer activating. Measurable deep sleep architecture improvements typically emerge between weeks 3 and 8. Cortisol curve normalization at 6 to 12 weeks of consistent supplementation. One safety note that is non-negotiable. Anyone with diagnosed kidney disease must consult their physician before supplementing magnesium at any significant dose. The kidneys regulate magnesium excretion. Impaired kidney function can allow magnesium to accumulate to dangerous levels. For everyone else, the safety profile at 200 to 600 milligrams daily is excellent. Also, if you take proton pump inhibitors chronically, they impair magnesium absorption. Your physician should monitor your levels. Diuretics increase urinary magnesium loss. Fluoroquinolone and tetracycline antibiotics interact with magnesium. Space supplementation by 2 hours. And if you're currently on prescribed sleep medications, do not discontinue them abruptly. Work with your physician to address the root mineral deficiency while managing any medication changes safely. A man in his late 50s wrote to me a few months ago. He had been on Ambien for 9 years. He knew it wasn't real sleep. He described waking 8 hours later feeling like he'd been unconscious, not rested. He started the 2-form protocol: magnesium glycinate in the afternoon, L-threonate and glycinate 30 minutes before bed, Epsom bath 3 nights a week. He tracked everything on his Garmin. At week 2, sleep onset was faster. At week 5, his deep sleep time on the Garmin, stage N3, had increased from an average of 31 minutes to 68. He sent me the screenshot. He said, "I didn't know I had never had real sleep until I finally had it." Henry Wicker's cattle smelled that bitter spring in 1618 and walked away. They were right to be cautious. But you now know what was in it. You know the 5 mechanisms it activates. You know the form that crosses into the brain. And you know how to grow it in your own soil. The sleeping pill industry generates $28 billion a year from a mineral deficiency that costs 10 cents a day to correct. The deficiency was created by a fertilization system that optimized for yield and ignored nutrient density. The mechanism has been known at the molecular level since the 1990s. The human clinical proof was published in 2024. Your ancestors got 600 milligrams of this mineral from their food. Their sleep was not a pharmaceutical product. It was a biological function that ran correctly because the mineral substrate was there. If this video resonated, our episode on remineralizing soil for maximum nutrient density covers the agricultural side of this story in full. The missing piece connecting your garden directly to your health outcomes. Have you tried magnesium for sleep? Have you remineralized your garden soil? Drop it in the comments. This community is how we keep recovering this knowledge together. The dispensary stays open. I'll see you in the next one.